Hiya, it's Amanda here from Lolli Lulu Crafts, and today we are going to be making a card using this gorgeous lavender and lace kit from Kanban Crafts. I've also got a few extra elements in there, some die cuts that I had in my stash, a gorgeous one there by Spellbinders of a bird cage and a few swirls and bits and pieces which I may or may not use. Okay, so I'm starting off with what is actually a hunky-dory pre-scored blank card base in an A5 size. I've then pre-cut some layers to go on top of it just to make that a bit easier, and the first one I've got is this beautiful pearlescent sort of floral design. You can just catch that, I hope, in the light there. So we're going to start with that. That covers the entire front of my card, and that's in the Kanban kit. I then actually got a piece of this gorgeous purple colour that is a hunky-dory adorable scoreable. These are all a 1/4 inch down so that we get a 1/8 inch gap all the way around. Then I've got this beautiful piece of card from the Kanban kit, which again I have just cut down to size. Now all of these I'm going to layer flat except for the last layer, that lovely floral, which I'm going to pop up on 3D foam. So there it is, all done for you, and you can just see that just a little bit of height I think just adds a bit of interest to the card. Now I'm just turning to the inside of the card, and I'm just using the other part of that floral piece that we had on the front, but as you can see I think that just adds that bit of extra interest. But of course then we have it a bit blank on that side, so I had a bit of this in the kit that was some scrap from a previous card that I made from the kit, so I just added that to the other side, all stuck down using my wonderful cosmic shimmer because I just love that glue. So then as a final touch, so that the person has somewhere to write, I took one of the toppers from the kit that matched nicely and I just added that in, again just using my cosmic shimmer to stick it down, and you can see it just looks so pretty in there, and I think it matches really nicely to the front, and I think when you open up your card it balances the whole look of it. So now we've finished the inside of the card, we can go back to the front and start adding all the decorative elements onto our mat and layering. So I'm going to take that gorgeous Spellbinders bird cage that was actually cut out of the lavender hunky-dory, and I've got this beautiful thin cream ribbon that, as you saw, went perfectly with my card base. We're going to just then fold the two ends together of the ribbon and just pop that looped end through the little circle loop at the top of the bird cage, pop the two ends through the loop of the ribbon just to create like a little slip knot to have like a hanging piece, so the bird cage looks like it's hanging from the top of my card. So I'm actually going to stick the bird cage down though, so I'm using my cosmic shimmer to do that. I want it to stay in position. You could leave it loose if that works for you, but it's not going to work for what I'm doing with my design. So I'm just popping that down in position. And then we're going to do the same with the ribbon as well. We're going to take the ribbon, I'm just going to have it so the two pieces are separate, and then I'm actually going to take some of my cosmic shimmer and just run it along each piece, snip them off and tuck it underneath. Now really what I should have done is done this part before I had stuck that final layer down, so that it would have been much easier to tuck underneath, but as you saw, because it was on 3D it wasn't a big problem and it looks really nice. So that's our bird cage all finished. So I took some of the other elements and I have fiddled around positioning some of them on the card. I really didn't like the little swirls just because they were a little bit too dark, but I like the butterfly and the birds, etc. So I think what I people do, instead of having the swirls from the Hunky Dory cardstock, is to actually add some crystal swirls, just to add a little bit of something to the card. So on these particular crystal swirls, there were some straight sections, so I snipped those away from the swirly parts, and I'm adding some of those to the pieces of ribbon, because although they were really nice, they were getting a little lost against the background. So I just cut a piece that seemed to be about the right length. The great thing is that when you have these crystals swirls, inverted commas, even though this bit's a straight bit, it comes on a piece of kind of plasticky bit, so it holds it all in a straight line. So that's both of them done for you on there, and I just think that you can still see the ribbon, but it just adds that little something extra to that. And that got me thinking. I still had a few of the straight pieces left, so I thought, right, I know I want to use the butterfly, so let's cut a little piece to put in the center of our butterfly, and then also I will snip 2 individual ones off and pop them on his little antennae as well. So now taking the other part of our crystal swirl, and I'm going to chop it up, because you can really make use of this by chopping it up into smaller pieces, and you can even chop up sort of different parts so that you can actually change the complete shape of that. I mean, this was a corner swirl, and yet we're not going to use that at all like that. So then I take it, because it's on a clear background, and I start to play around, and I'm just trying to work out exactly where I want it and what I want where, etc, etc. And then of course I will take that and peel it off the background and stick it in position, and because it's self-adhesive, look, it's pretty simple to do. So having got the gems in position, I put the 3 flowers and just sort of fiddled around until I was happy with the position of them. I then used my 3D glue gel, my pin flare glue gel, which you know is my absolute favourite glue in the whole wide world, and as you can see, I'm pretty low of it, but I squeezed a little bit out and I was able to get enough just to pop the flowers up. And you can see here they're at slightly different dimensions, different levels. So the one there's slightly further back, and then the next one's a little bit higher, and the big one is even higher. I then took advantage of the wet glue gel while it was still wet, and I popped in my little pins. I've got there 2 little purple ones and one with a 3 crystal there. You can just hopefully catch that in that picture there. So then I took my sentiment, and that was a sentiment actually from a Hunky Dory kit, and I just put a thin layer of glue gel on the back of that and popped it down. Then we've got my little birdies, and I used my bone folder here just to give them a little bit of shape, so it looked like they were, you know, like the back of the bird is kind of curved as you look at it. And then again, to keep that shape, I just added a much thicker layer of the glue gel in the center where I wanted that shape to be at its highest, so the curve to be the most, and then just a small amount of glue gel on his tail and head, and then we just popped him down, give him a little squish in the middle just to pop him into position. And you can see it's just actually a more gentle curve than it would appear at first, just because of the way you give him a little squish. And then with my second bird, this one's the lavender coloured bird, I'm doing the same and just creating a curve in the centre and adding the glue gel, and then popping him actually in this case on the top of the cage. So these 2 birds have escaped the cage and are sitting on the outside of it. It actually reminds me of my little budgie who used to sit on the outside of the cage waiting to be let back in, bless his little heart. But he wasn't pink, he was a beautiful turquoise. Anyway, this, you can see the beautiful curve on that and the shaping that you get. It looks so much, just gives it some real character, and I think that looks really, really nice. Pleased with how that's turned out. You can see it from the other side there, how you can slightly alter the curving even. So next we are going to add the little butterfly. Now when I add butterflies or things of that sort of design, I add my glue gel on the two wings there, because that's where I want the height to be, and I want the height to stay there. If we just put the wings sort of folded up and don't put any glue underneath them, then when you post it, they're going to get squashed down and they're not going to have that 3D look. So by adding the glue gel there, that's going to stop that happening. Now I'm just going to take these Nouveau drops in this beautiful grape colour, and I've just added 3 in one corner and then 1 more in each of the other 3 corners. And you can see now I am adding some of the pale pink into the center of the rose, and they really do just dome completely round, no little points or anything, and they just look beautiful. So next I am taking these gorgeous grape icicles. I love the coloured stickles in these lovely soft pastel colours, and I'm just going to go over the whole of the cage. It takes a little bit of time because you want to be careful just to make sure we go on all the lines. I just thought it would stop the cage from kind of disappearing a little bit into the background. I felt like I was losing it just a little, and that just helped bring it forward and give it a little bit more dimension. And also with a card like this, you really need a bit of sparkle, and that I think really just worked great. And then taking the same coloured stickles, I'm just going around the edge of our sentiment again just to give it a bit more pop, and then going over to our butterfly and using the crystal stickles, which I love. It goes over everything just to give that a little bit of bling as well. So at this point I start to get a bit carried away, if not before this point, and I now put some crystal stickles on the birds. Now bearing in mind that these are all foiled as well, they probably didn't need it, but actually it was such an opulent card. I think it made it, it really added something, and what I found it did was it drew out more to the front subtly, but still did it, elements that I wanted to bring forward a little bit. And then I just thought, well, let's just add a little bit to the flowers in the corner, just to add a tiny bit of balance, because then if you're not careful, what you end up with is too much in some areas and nothing in other areas. And the flowers just in that corner didn't even have any foiling on, so I just felt that that just added a little something up there. So then finally I had this happy birthday sentiment that I had intended on putting on the outside, but it just wasn't fitting, and in some ways I didn't think when I did the inside that it fitted there either, but in the end I actually decided I really wanted to put it on. I liked it on the inside up at the top there, so I just stuck it down using my Cosmic Shimmer. I think it looked really nice. I love how the finished card has turned out. I think it is so pretty. It's such a nice kit as well. I think you'd find it hard not to make a pretty card, and the inside is just as pretty as the outside, so I think it all works really well together. So I hope you have enjoyed making this card with me. I hope you like the finished card. As always, do pop over to my blog post if you're on YouTube, link below the video, and it will have lots of other photos and things for you to see. But otherwise, thanks so much for watching, and bye for now. Bye.
We fit like 2 birds in a house on the corner of 6th and 8th. I've gotta say, who would have thought that we'd be intertwined and quite the same? We are the only game I wanna play today and tomorrow. This flower's blooming all the same. The grass gets greener every day in our place. I'll visit every Wednesday, our imaginary hey boy. We'll see you soon. into my